Geopolitical Report for June 27, 2026, 3:46 Universal Time Coordinated, generated by AI Agent, acting as Senior Geopolitical Analyst. Date of preparation, June 27, 2026. If you found this report valuable, give it a like and subscribe for a new report every day at 9 a.m. Universal Time Coordinated. June 26, 2026, U.S. conducts strikes on Iranian military infrastructure in the Strait of Hormuz. The United States military launched targeted airstrikes against Iranian missile and drone storage facilities and radar networks. This action was taken in response to a recent Iranian attack on a commercial cargo ship in the critical Strait of Hormuz waterway. The strikes signify a sharp escalation of direct military engagement in the region. Market impact, neutral. June 26, 2026, US FCC announces import ban on Chinese telecommunications equipment. The U.S. Federal Communications Commission, FCC, announced a new import ban on telecommunications and video surveillance equipment manufactured by several Chinese companies, including Huawei and ZTE. This decision expands on 2022 restrictions to bar all new product approvals due to national security concerns. The regulation is scheduled to take effect in July 2026. Market impact, bearish. June 26, 2026, U.S. bipartisan bill aims to block adversaries from U.S. cloud AI services. A bipartisan group of U.S. lawmakers introduced the proposed Cloud Security Act to prevent foreign adversaries from accessing advanced AI chips via cloud computing networks. The legislation allows U.S. cloud providers to monitor and report suspicious usage of restricted semiconductor technology by foreign entities. This closes a key loophole in existing hardware export control policies. Market impact, neutral. June 26, 2026, John Bolton pleads guilty to unlawful retention of classified information. Former U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton entered a guilty plea in a Maryland federal court to one charge of unlawfully retaining classified national security files. As part of the plea agreement, Bolton agreed to pay a $2.25 million fine and forfeit his government pension. The plea concludes a long-running criminal investigation into unauthorized disclosures in his memoir. Market impact, neutral. June 26, 2026, U.S. mediates framework agreement between Israel and Lebanon. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced a preliminary framework agreement between Israel and Lebanon following 3 days of mediated talks in Washington, D.C. The agreement attempts to establish a ceasefire and outline conditions for Israeli military presence along the border. However, tensions remain high as Hezbollah's demand for complete withdrawal is still unresolved. Market impact, neutral. June 25, 2026, Council of the EU approves tariff commitments under transatlantic trade deal. The Council of the European Union finalized approval of regulations implementing mutual tariff commitments under the EU-US Joint Statement, often referred to as the Turnberry Deal. The agreement eliminates remaining customs duties on several U.S. industrial goods and grants preferential market access. This move aims to stabilize and strengthen transatlantic trade ties amidst global economic uncertainty. Market impact, bullish. June 25, 2026, U.S. and GCC denounce Iran's maritime disruptions in Strait of Hormuz. The foreign ministers of the United States and the Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC, issued a joint declaration defending free and unrestricted navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. The statement strongly rejected unilateral Iranian attempts to control or disrupt maritime traffic in the strategic shipping lane. The diplomats reaffirmed their commitment to collective security operations in the Persian Gulf. Market impact, neutral. June 25, 2026, U.S. rejects claims of secret anchorage agreements on Ukraine. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio clarified that no formal agreements were reached regarding the war in Ukraine during the 2025 Alaska summit, refuting Russian claims of secret understandings. Rubio reiterated that the U.S. remains committed to supporting Ukraine's battlefield positioning and sovereignty. The statement highlights the ongoing diplomatic deadlock between Washington and Moscow. Market impact, neutral. June 24, 2026, U.S. Customs and Border Protection suspends de minimis tariff exemption. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, issued interim final rules indefinitely suspending the $800 de minimis duty-free exemption for low-value imports arriving via cargo and express modes. The rule aims to curb tariff evasion and illegal shipping practices, particularly affecting foreign e-commerce platforms. The change requires full customs entry procedures for these shipments moving forward. Market impact, bearish. June 23, 2026, US and UK release joint guidance on economic sanctions comparability. The US Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, and the UK's Office of Financial Sanctions Implementation, OFSI, published their first joint comparative guidance. The document details the similarities and differences in licensing, listing, and enforcement between the two regimes. The initiative seeks to help the private sector improve compliance under their enhanced sanctions partnership. Market impact, neutral. June 22, 2026, U.S. Office of Foreign Assets Control issues temporary oil license for Iran. The U.S. Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control issued General License X, allowing the production and sale of Iranian oil for a temporary 60-day period. The license aims to facilitate ongoing de-escalation negotiations between Washington and Tehran. However, the viability of the waiver has been immediately challenged by escalating military hostilities in the Persian Gulf. Market impact, bearish. June 22, 2026, U.S. and Iran convene high-level talks in Bürgenstock, Switzerland. Senior diplomats from the United States and Iran began high-level de-escalation talks at the Bürgenstock resort in Switzerland. The discussions focused on establishing a 60-day roadmap for regional security and the reinstatement of IAEA nuclear monitors in Iran. The efforts represent a fragile attempt to avert a wider regional conflict. Market impact, neutral. June 26, 2026, China condemns US FCC's banned equipment import regulation. The Chinese government issued a formal protest following the US FCC's decision to implement a total import ban on major Chinese telecommunications equipment. Beijing accused the US of abusing national security arguments to suppress Chinese firms and violate international trade norms. The Ministry of Commerce warned that China would take necessary measures to protect the legal rights of its enterprises. Market impact, bearish. June 26, 2026, Taiwan concludes 5-day immediate combat readiness exercise. Taiwan's armed forces successfully concluded a 5-day nationwide immediate combat readiness drill designed to test rapid defensive transition. Defense Minister Wellington Koo stated the exercises were vital to counter Beijing's tactics of using routine drills to mask a sudden invasion. The maneuvers tested the integration of civil defense and regular forces. Market impact, neutral. June 25, 2026, Russia highlights resilience of strategic and practical cooperation with China. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova stated that the strategic partnership and practical trade cooperation between Russia and China remain resilient against Western pressures. Zakharova noted that two-way investment, energy trade, and technology sharing continue to expand. The comments highlight the deepening axis of cooperation between Moscow and Beijing. Market impact, neutral. June 24, 2026, UK, France, and Germany denounced China's maritime enforcement east of Taiwan. The United Kingdom, France, and Germany issued a joint diplomatic statement expressing deep concern over China's recent maritime law enforcement drills east of Taiwan. The European powers warned that these novel maritime patrols threaten regional stability and the freedom of navigation. They reaffirmed their opposition to unilateral changes to the status quo in the Taiwan Strait. Market impact, neutral. June 24, 2026, China establishes dual-use and strategic mineral export whistleblower system. China's Ministry of Commerce announced the establishment of a formal reporting system and public hotline to detect violations of export controls on strategic minerals and dual-use items. The system, taking effect on July 1, 2026, encourages the public to report unauthorized exports. This step enhances Beijing's enforcement of its critical mineral dominance. Market impact, neutral. June 23, 2026, China's aircraft carrier Fujian transits the Taiwan Strait. China's newest and most advanced aircraft carrier, the Fujian, conducted a transit through the Taiwan Strait, monitored closely by Taiwan's military. The deployment represents a major demonstration of Beijing's growing naval power projection. The transit occurred amid heightened regional tensions and ongoing sovereignty disputes. Market impact, neutral. June 22, 2026, China imposes export restrictions on 10 U.S. tech and defense entities. China's Ministry of Commerce added 10 American tech and defense companies, including MP Materials and USA Rare Earth, to its export control list. The designation immediately halts the export of Chinese dual-use technologies and materials to these firms. The action is a direct retaliation for Washington's expansion of its military-linked entity list. Market impact, bearish. June 22, 2026, PLA Daily showcases imagery of DF-17 hypersonic missile system. The official newspaper of China's military published the first detailed photographs of the DF-17 medium-range ballistic missile carrying a hypersonic glide vehicle. The publicity is viewed by defense analysts as a deliberate signal of China's advanced strike capabilities in the Western Pacific. The release highlights ongoing military modernization and power projection. Market impact, neutral. June 22, 2026, China and Bangladesh agree to expand Belt and Road cooperation. China and Bangladesh agreed to expand bilateral cooperation under the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, following high-level diplomatic talks. The updated partnership shifts focus from heavy infrastructure toward green energy, digital technology, and industrial manufacturing. The move aligns with China's strategy of executing small and beautiful strategic projects. Market impact, neutral. June 26, 2026, EU strengthens foreign investment screening rules. The European Union published updated rules to reinforce its foreign direct investment (FDI) screening framework. The updated guidelines aim to harmonize member state procedures to identify, assess, and mitigate national security risks stemming from non-EU investments. This policy reflects Brussels' increasing focus on protecting strategic infrastructure and economic security. Market impact, neutral. June 26, 2026, EU energy ministers reach agreement on European grids package. EU energy ministers reached a general approach to modernize and expand Europe's cross-border electricity grid infrastructure. The package revises the Trans-European Energy Infrastructure (TEN-E) regulation to speed up permitting for green energy and storage projects. This reform aims to enhance grid connectivity and support transition goals. Market impact, bullish. June 25, 2026, Council of the EU extends economic sanctions against Russia until 2027. The Council of the European Union officially extended its sector-wide economic sanctions against the Russian Federation for an additional 12 months, until July 31, 2027. The measures continue to target trade, finance, technology, and energy sectors to pressure Moscow's war economy. This extension reinforces Europe's unified stance on supporting Ukraine. Market impact, neutral. June 25, 2026, Council of the EU approves tariff commitments under Transatlantic Trade Deal. The Council of the EU gave final approval to regulations implementing tariff commitments under the EU-US Joint Statement. This measure eliminates remaining customs duties on certain U.S. industrial goods and grants preferential market access. This move aims to stabilize and strengthen transatlantic trade ties. Market impact, bullish. June 25, 2026, Ukraine Recovery Conference in Gdansk focuses on energy integration. The Ukraine Recovery Conference concluded in Gdansk, Poland, focusing on restoring Ukraine's energy infrastructure under wartime conditions and aligning its regulatory frameworks with EU standards. The event gathered international leaders and donors to pledge financial support for grid rehabilitation. This initiative is critical for Ukraine's economic resilience. Market impact, neutral. June 24, 2026, EU imposes anti-dumping duties on Chinese, US, and Saudi chemical imports. The European Commission announced the imposition of definitive anti-dumping duties on imports of 1,4-butadiene, BDO, originating from China, Saudi Arabia, and the United States. The decision follows an investigation showing significant price undercutting that harmed EU domestic producers. The measures aim to restore fair competition in the European chemical sector. Market impact, neutral. June 24, 2026, European Commission proposes tax and energy labeling simplification. The European Commission published new omnibus proposals designed to reduce administrative burdens. The energy label proposal moves toward digitalized labeling, while the tax omnibus simplifies reporting requirements to enhance cross-border economic activity. This initiative is part of a broader regulatory streamlining strategy. Market impact, neutral. June 24, 2026, Polish Prime Minister warns against historical friction with Ukraine. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk issued a public warning stating that ongoing disputes regarding historical commemorations and political friction between Poland and Ukraine constitute a strategic error that benefits only Russia. Tusk urged both nations to maintain diplomatic unity to ensure continued security cooperation. The statement highlights internal tensions within the European coalition. Market impact, neutral. June 23, 2026, Norway opens Consulate General in Nuuk, Greenland to boost Arctic presence. Norway opened a new Consulate General in Nuuk, Greenland, indicating a growing diplomatic focus on Arctic security and resource management. This move aligns with similar recent expansions by the US, France, and Canada. The region is increasingly becoming a strategic arena for geopolitical competition. Market impact, neutral. June 26, 2026, U.S. conducts strikes on Iranian military infrastructure in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. military launched airstrikes against Iranian missile and drone storage sites in the Gulf region. This operation follows an Iranian attack on a commercial cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz, raising maritime transport risks. The exchange has heightened fears of a broader conflict in the critical shipping lane. Market impact, bearish. June 26, 2026, U.S. imposes sanctions on networks fueling Sudan civil war. The United States Treasury Department announced targeted sanctions against 8 individuals and entities implicated in supplying weaponry, military equipment, and foreign mercenaries to both the Sudanese Armed Forces, SAF, and the RSF. The action aims to disrupt the financing of the conflict, which has caused a severe humanitarian crisis. Market impact, neutral. June 26, 2026, Sudanese Army Chief rules out peace talks with RSF. Sudanese Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan publicly rejected any diplomatic negotiations with the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, unless the group completely disarms and disbands. This stance halts immediate prospects for a diplomatic settlement as the nation enters its 4th year of civil war. The announcement is expected to prolong the conflict and exacerbate the refugee crisis. Market impact, neutral. June 26, 2026, Colombia concludes key parliamentary elections amid economic reforms. Colombia concluded its legislative and municipal voting cycle. The elections are seen as a critical test of support for the ruling coalition's ambitious fiscal and resource nationalist economic agenda. The outcome will determine the feasibility of proposed structural reforms in the energy and mining sectors. Market impact, neutral. June 25, 2026, devastating back-to-back earthquakes strike Venezuela. 2 powerful earthquakes struck Venezuela within 39 seconds of each other. The double disaster resulted in at least 920 fatalities and left thousands injured, prompting international search and rescue efforts. The infrastructure damage has disrupted local economic activity and put severe strain on emergency services. Market impact, bearish. June 25, 2026, North Korea's Kim Jong-un directs weapons tests, demanding offensive posture. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un supervised major military test launches of advanced rocket and tactical systems. Kim urged the military to adopt a deadly and destructive offensive posture to counter US-led alliances in East Asia. The tests represent a continuation of Pyongyang's aggressive posture in the region. Market impact, neutral. June 25, 2026, UN allocates $8 million to stop Congolese Ebola spread in Burundi and South Sudan. The United Nations announced emergency funding to support prevention programs in Burundi and South Sudan against a potential cross-border outbreak of Ebola originating from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The preventative funds aim to bolster surveillance and vaccination efforts. The step is intended to contain the spread before it impacts wider regional stability. Market impact, neutral. June 23, 2026, Pakistan-occupied Kashmir ultimatum expires amid governance crisis. An ultimatum issued by the Joint Awami Action Committee, JAAC, to Pakistani authorities expired, intensifying the civil resistance campaign in the region. The movement, fueled by high electricity tariffs and wheat costs, has shifted into a broader challenge to Pakistan's administrative authority. The escalation raises concerns about stability along the line of control. Market impact, bearish. June 23, 2026, North Korea commissions new nuclear-capable combat vessel. Leader Kim Jong-un presided over a naval commissioning ceremony, praising the integration of tactical nuclear armaments into the country's naval forces. The new vessel is intended to defend against regional naval coalition exercises led by the US and its allies. The ceremony highlights North Korea's ongoing naval nuclearization efforts. Market impact, neutral. June 22, 2026, Ukraine targets Russian-installed signal repeaters on Belarus border. Ukrainian military drone strikes successfully dismantled Russian-installed signal repeaters along the Belarusian-Ukrainian border. These devices had previously enabled long-range Russian drone navigation into western Ukraine. The operation represents a successful disruption of Russian aerial reconnaissance and strike capabilities. Market impact, neutral. If you found this report valuable, give it a like and subscribe for a new report every day at 9 a.m. Universal Time Coordinated.